Okay, so before we get into solving two-step equations, we're going to take a look quickly at some one-step equations. On top of this page, there are three main parts that we're going to work with. We're going to read each equation out loud, we're going to think about what the inverse is, and then we're going to solve it. So the first one says negative 5a equals 25. Well, the key to these problems is being able to read this in math, because if you can understand what this is saying in math language right here, it automatically tells you what the inverse is. So this problem, when the variable is attached to the coefficient, means multiplication. So this would be read as negative 5 times a is the same as 25, which means to solve this problem, we would have to do the inverse, which would be divided by negative 5. So to solve this problem, we would divide each side by negative 5. The problem to the right, this is n plus 11 is the same as negative 16. Being able to read it out loud, you can hear it's n plus 11. So the inverse will be minus 11. So we'll have to subtract 11 from each side. Number 3 says 14 is the same as or equal to n minus 8. Again, when the variable is on the right side, it doesn't change anything. What's with the variable is minus 8. The inverse of minus 8 or take away 8 is plus 8. And the last one, I strongly suggest you put this into your notes, because this is something that people seem to have a little bit trouble reading this problem in math. And if you can't read it, it makes it a lot more difficult to solve. This When you see a variable as a part of a fraction like this is really telling you division. This is n divided by 5 is the same as negative 12. And the inverse of divided by 5 is multiply by 5. So the way that you would solve this would be multiplying each side by 5, and n is actually negative 6. Okay, when you solve two-step equations, you follow the golden rule, and what that means is when you do something to one side of an equation, you must do it to the other. And you're always isolating the variables using the inverse operation, addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division. So we're going to go over two-step equations today. So the first example says 4x plus 2 is the same as 10. This is as basic as it can get, so we'll walk through this together. The first step that makes this a little easier is I'm going to split this problem down the middle with the equal sign. Now my goal is to get my variable by itself, with 4x plus 2 equals 10. The first thing I need to do is eliminate this plus 2 by taking 2 away from both sides. The whole point is that 2 minus 2 is 0. So those cancel out and we have 4x over here. On this side, 10 minus 2 is 8. So now I have 4 times x equals 8. I divide each side by 4 and I get x equals 2. Showing it over here just so you can take a look at it a different way. Same idea, we undid the addition, we undid the multiplication, and then we have x equals 2.